Hey gang, welcome back to the videos, welcome to South West Wales and welcome to Battle on the Beach. It is mine and Honor's first proper gravel race. We're both really nervous and really excited. We've decided to come to this because it's a little bit shorter. Obviously we're used to doing cyclocross races which are an hour, so we thought we'd pick an hour and a half, maybe. I think that's what we're aiming for, an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Maybe two for me, we'll see.
Maybe 2 for Honor. Something a little bit shorter so we can kind of dip our toes in, see if we like it, and then maybe we'll be going on to some longer ones later on. We are here thanks to Halo Wheels, our wheel sponsor, and covering those wheels, we have very kindly been supplied some G1 RS Pros by Schwalbe. They set them up for us yesterday, and we filmed that, and we think we got some pretty great tips and tricks for setting up tubeless. Honor says she learned so much she's going to do it for our tyres from now on, isn't that right?
No.
We'll roll to that now. Hopefully you guys learned something and then we'll come back and we'll do a bit of pre-race. Get some tyre set up. RS's, good plan. Proper gravel race tyre, bit of grip on the corners, really fast tread in the centre. We're going to go as wide as we can. Honor's going to be on a 45 and I'm going to be on a 40, which is wider than it says I should have, but just don't tell anyone. Pro casing, which is their new casing, it combines a super ground and super race compounds and uses their tubeless casing to make sure it's super supple and super racy.
We have 40mm RS in black, 50mm 2-inch Super Race transparent ball. In my opinion, this is the tyre for this event, in this size as well. You've got the bird at the top. Yeah, a lot of people don't know is that Schwalbe means swallow, so the tyres now a lot clearer. First thing I'll always do with tyres, open them up, get them open, so when you're mounting, there's no creases in them, they're easier to mount basically. If you're at home, you've got a bit of time on your side, and no compressor in your ear, it's always good to open up your tyres, leave them by a radiator, keep them warm, makes them a bit more malleable, so when you're mounting them, a little bit easier. You should be able to pump these up just using a track pump. The tubeless technology is there that you shouldn't need all these super high flow valves and compressors. It should just go up with just normal valves, normal pumps. Same tyre, just with a black sidewall now. I'm probably going to retake this for you, just because where tyre leaves have pulled it off, eventually you're going to get sealant migration and it will lift. The valve that's a bit stuck, take the core out, something flat. Pop it through like that. A couple of tips that I always do with setting up the rim tape. Find the valve hole, wherever that is.
You found it.
It's there. Start opposite. Carbon rims, you don't have to worry about a join with them, but with aluminium, I always start 3 inches past the join of the rim, and I'll do 2 passes of the tape. And what that will do is it just creates a really nice snug fit. So I've cleaned the rim with some isopropyl alcohol, just so the tape goes in nice and tight. Here as well. One. I cut like a little 45, so it's easy to find the tape if you need to change it again, probably in about a year's time. Go a little bit belt and braces, and what I do is I put a little puncture repair patch over the join of the tape that I've just cut, just to kind of stop that sealant migration from the onset. So it just seals it in a little bit. Should really do it with cleaner fingers than I am. See, just over the join.
Just a quick patch.
Yeah, just a puncture repair patch. Make sure that's sat in, and then we do another one over the valve hole. Because when you pierce the tape, you don't want it to split. This just acts like a little gasket. So line it up so you know where it is. Get that as central as you can.
Oh, look at the pace here.
Doesn't need to be perfect, but as central as you can get it. You can use a valve stem, like your old one or anything, to mark it. So what I will do is push the valve that way. Just put a little mark in the tape, so you know where you're going to pierce it. Like that. So the little bubble, something with a blunt end like that, so you shouldn't be too sharp. Find your marker, and you can put something with a flat top so it won't hurt your hand, and then you just push it through. Then you've got a nice neat hole. You can see where these have been used, how this rubber bit's important and deforms into the wheel well, so you can see the sealant build up of that. Just clean that off, so that way when it goes in with a new tape it's nice and clean fit. Check your valve cores, good time to check them. Just see if there's any gum in them, clean them out. Bit of alcohol, disc brake cleaner normally works pretty well. Put your valve core in, so you've got the point. Nice and easy, pops through. And then we've got our trim lock washer. And these only really need to be hand tight. You don't need to be doing them up so tight that they gouge into the rim. I normally just push a thumb down here just to make sure that's deformed into the wheel well, and then just nip these up, and it should only really need to be hand tight. And that should be enough just to get it going. When mounting the tyre, just check the direction of it. So these are front and rear specific in their rotation. So in this case with the rear, the V's digging in, find the bird logo, line it up with the valve. Another thing I do to make life a bit easier, you can hold the wheel with your stomach and your hands and your knees so you can work the tyre around, and that should just mount on by hand. But what I'll do now is just pop some sealant in.
Like the world's strongest thumbs.
You just get technique more than strength, I think. You'll lose your thumbprints over time, so it'd be a good burglar. Dock Blue, this is our sealant. Give it a good shake so all the particulates are working, doing their thing, because that's what will plug the holes. Normally I'd say with wheels this size, between 60, maybe up to 100 mil if you're really worried, but never more than that. Because all you just be doing is carry loads of slosh around. It's just too much weight. If 100 mil of sealant won't seal your tyre, nothing will. 60 to 80 is probably about right. 100's more than you need, but never more than that.
How much are the little blue, the little white boxes?
So they're 60.
Okay, so they're one of those.
Yeah, so they're quite good. If I show you, these little bottles are 60 mil, and what they do, they've got a little ridge on the nozzle, and it'll click in, so you can fill them up mess free, ready to go. So I'll do that for the front one. We've got our sealant in there. We obviously don't want to get messy, so what I do now is then rotate it around, so the sealant's round. The tyre's mounted. We'll try it with the valve core in. In an ideal world, I probably would have done another lap of tape there because they still feel a little bit loose fitting, but they should go up. You want to make sure that the bead's over the valve stem head, like that. So what we're checking for here is just that the bead line is equal all the way around. And they've gone on nice. Simple as that. Lighter carcasses, so this one they're called transparent wool rather than a tan wool because you can see the actual carcass, it's clear rubber on these. The idea is you need to ride them as quickly as possible, well, as soon as you can, just because as the carcass breaks in, the sealant will fill any gaps, because you might get a little bit of sweating on the sidewall, that's normal, so this is why a little extra sealant sometimes counteracts that. So get them on, go out for a little ride on them, and the compression will just break in the carcass and the sealant will fill in any gaps that you might have in it. But that's it. Should be as easy as that, mounting tubeless. For future, the only thing you need to do now is just keep an eye on your sealant. If you race and ride a lot, you know, all sealants have their own kind of shelf life. Dock Blue, you're probably talking between 4, maximum 6 months. Even if it just sounds like there's liquid in there, the coagulant that solidifies and fills the holes can go off, so it'll just be water in there basically. So it is worth checking your sealants. You can do this either just by poking a little straw through the valve stem. You can pop the tyre off if you want, clean the tyres out. The last thing you want to do is go out, tubeless is up, and then there's no sealant in there doing its job.
I didn't check the bottle, I put in the wrong tape, it was worse than that. I put 1 layer of tape, I put 400 mils of sealant.
Literally filled the tyres up to the brim with sealant.
Solid. You put a couple of fish in there as well.
All the dirt that comes off when you clean the rim, it's worth cleaning them each time just because tape will adhere a bit better. When you put enough tape on, when I inflated it, the valve core was in, so I didn't need that extra flow.
I was surprised by that.
Excuse me. One of our under 14s finishing this great bit of...
What I normally do is just put it behind the tyre so you don't make any mess of yourself. Yeah, they look wicked. They do.
Yeah, no, they do look really good.
I mean, if you want me to fit into the bike, bring it over.
Thank you. Welcome back. We're going to do a quick bike check.
I'm running my Specialized Crux. I've done absolutely nothing to it to change it from cyclocross, apart from put 53, 39 chain rings on it. So big chain rings for along the beach. Honna's running her Specialized Crux. She's put a bigger chain ring on as well. So
She did.
there we go. Yeah, she did it all herself. I'm going to be running an Insta360, so hopefully we get some pretty interesting shots and you guys kind of feel what it's like to be in with the race. Honna's running a GoPro because we only own one Insta360. So.
And we decided Theo's probably going to get the more exciting footage.
I'm more likely to crash.
No, you're more likely to like have battles. So you have an old Crux, which is why you don't fit the full tyres in.
Yeah. 50.
This is only a cross bike. Mine obviously is more of a gravel bike. This is a newer Crux, so I get to fit these. I'm so excited.
But maybe you shouldn't show Specialized because it officially only takes 47s.
There's some clearance
Yeah,
there.
there's some clearance. Just don't look at
Bit
the
of room
chains.
for
Don't
some
look at the chain stays. We did recce on the beach yesterday and on a very, with low effort, rode away from me. So that's a good sign.
I mean, I don't think it's just the tyres. I think I think it's my mega
Yeah,
watts.
that's true.
I have no idea what to expect, which is quite nice because it means the pressure is kind of off, because I'm like, how can I have expectations on myself for something that is so unknown? And like racing with the men, that's a whole new dynamic for me. For my first race, I kind of like that because there's going to be like so much cushioning that it's not going to feel as intense. But generally speaking, obviously it is very much suboptimal. But it's whatever. I would like to do well. I've been training really well. I'm a lot stronger now than I have been. So I'm like, yeah, excited to see where I'm at.
Very quickly, we have run out of time. How are you feeling, Theo?
Fairly neutral because I don't know how this is going to go and it doesn't matter if it goes badly and we're just here for a good time. Josh?
I think same. Excited. Can't wait for people. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think the start's always the like most important bit. So it's like just getting a good go.
So let's ramp the pressure on.
The pressure?
Yeah.
Why is there pressure?
Speaking of pressures, what's in the tyres?
35 PSI in bike.
Honna's going to run 18, I'm going to run 24.
Oh, I'm a bit, maybe because a few kilos extra, you know?
We're here from the future. We're going to do a voiceover of our onboard cameras. We've got the first lap and then highlights of as much of the race as the cameras lasted for. We've sped certain sections up for you in this first lap, so to keep it a little bit more exciting and show you all the good bits. We started not that near the front. We were told on good authority that we needed to go to start at 11:30, and it turns out everyone got there at 10.
So this wasn't exactly the start that we had in mind.
Woo!
As you squeeze through those two people.
So I'm just about safely onto the beach. Next stop is get back on my bike, get pedaling, have a look up and see how far away the front of the race is. Turns out pretty far, and I'm probably not going to be able to reach it.
Yeah, I found it actually really quite surreal as well, looking up and just seeing how many riders there are in front, but also very depressing.
Yeah, if the numbers were right, there's like thousands of people at this event, which was pretty cool to see actually.
And I think we were maybe midway through the racing people.
And then behind all the races is people who want to ride the event non-competitively. So the total number of people doing this event must be insane.
Okay, should we have a look at just how many people you're overtaking in the wind right now?
Yeah, my approach for the first lap up the beach was literally don't look back, head down and just go. I think for the first 10 minutes I averaged just over 400 watts.
Were there any people on your wheel?
No, there didn't seem to be, and I was a little bit surprised by that.
I would have loved for your wheel to come past me. I would have jumped on that so hard.
I was like really hoping that you'd manage to stick with me from the start, and I was basically giving you a tow the whole way up the beach.
No, well, you'll see my start in a minute and you'll see that that wasn't possible, unfortunately.
So we're going to go through my footage and then we're going to jump over it, and I'm going to watch Honna's.
And this is the first time we've watched each other's race footage, so you're going to get our genuine first impressions and us harshly judging each other's racing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how your race went because you did pretty well, we were going to say.
Oh, thanks. Was that Josh?
Yeah, that's Josh. So Josh managed to follow me up the beach. I don't know if he was on my wheel the whole time, but he came past when I started to get a bit tired towards the end.
And that is understandable given how much time you've just spent in the wind.
Yeah, fair enough. We're approaching the end of the beach now, and the course takes a hard right-hander, goes into a bit of a narrowing and goes off the beach. So I had in the forefront of my mind that I wanted to be at the front for that.
And there's about to be a lot of single track where overtaking is about to get a lot trickier.
So here I am moving my way up. into the inside, come around this corner, find myself in first, and I can see the sheer scale of the queue that we were all going to have to slot into.
I mean, it's just as well that you got to the front of that group.
Yeah, I'd kind of made my way onto the back of the next group, so I was still making sure I was moving forwards.
I think you've moved forward as much as you physically could have done from your start.
Yeah, I would agree.
Unless you maybe had like an extra 200 watts to play with. But from what you have available, I think that was as good as it could have gone.
Okay, next year we'll aim for 200 more watts.
No, next year we're going to have a better grid position.
That's a very good point. The first load of riders were gridded based off previous results, or if you'd done well in the nighttime TT the night before. We were thinking about the nighttime TT, but we were staying a couple of hours away and it was raining. So
and I need sleep.
Yeah, also that. So it was going to be a super late night if we decided to do that one, but maybe next year because it looked pretty cool.
We don't need to now. We've got the gridding from this year's results.
Okay, fair enough.
But no, if we were staying, it did look like a vibe. So maybe next year for sure.
We're on to the first gravel section. This featured in the first, I think, all 3 laps. We had this really loose, really fast gravel section. Lots of moving up could be done here, as I'm trying to do, weaving through people, using some wheels and accelerating when I can. I used this little kick. I think this featured in every single lap and I loved it just because it went uphill a little bit and I could pedal really, really hard to try and move up.
Yeah, you can see people suffering around you as well, which is always very nice to see.
I knew that early on in the race was going to be the best time to move up, so I'm just completely committing to that now. I was going to maybe think about later on starting to use wheels and starting to settle down, see if I could save energy.
Yeah, you're still spending so much time in the wind.
At this point, I didn't feel like I was happy with how far I'd gotten up. I felt like I still had moving up to do, so I was still pretty happy investing lots of energy.
Oh, to have the power to do that?
Yeah, well...
You've been training hard.
I have. I've been doing lots of endurance riding since the end of the cyclocross season, but in the lead up to this, we sprinkled in a bit of intensity. I was feeling strong, I was feeling fit, and I was feeling up for it.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, your first lap is looking quite different to mine. I mean, we'll see in a minute, but I was spending a lot more time using wheels. I was never the person in front. But I was very much enjoying the people like you. I was using the U's.
Skipped us forwards to the next most interesting section, and when I say interesting, I mean a queue, the next queue.
Oh, this is quite the backlog here.
Yeah, like there was people running through the hills there. It was crazy. I'm in a bush. I'm still pedaling though.
Yeah, but for what reason? Because you're getting pushed past.
I don't know.
I had exactly the same in mine. I stayed on my bike and it turned out to be pointless and everyone just pushed past me on their feet.
These are the sort of sections where being as far forward as you can be is even more important. So all that moving up that I did, all that energy I invested earlier on was paying off here. I'd be even further back in the queue.
Like me.
Yeah. God, how many people back behind me do you reckon you were?
I have no idea. It felt like thousands.
I think this is the last sort of sections before we end up completing the end of lap 1. Here it is, one of my most favourite sections of the race, going absolutely charging up the inside here. I knew there was a bit of a loose corner here, went into it full gas, went very sideways and managed to catch myself on a little berm there.
Yeah, the Insta360 doesn't do a great job of picking that up, but having recce'd that with you the day before, I know you went quite sideways there. You also haven't stopped bringing it up.
That's rude. Don't tell everyone.
I did a bum.
If you look on the right there, we just went past.
Was that Picasso and Carlo?
That was Picasso and Carlo.
It's our dogs.
Our dogs are there being looked after by Pip. This was sort of the start finish, I guess. You came out and did we do this every single lap?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was the connection from the trails and then back on some tarmac that took us back on the beach.
I really liked this section. It was like a grass crit.
I hated this section. It was so draggy. Apart from these little corners here, they were pretty cool.
Okay, so coming back onto the beach, what are you thinking?
I wasn't sure whether I was, again, as far up as I wanted to be. So I was thinking of trying to work with people, but also I was really happy just to invest lots of energy if I had to. Turns out we had a bit of a group going. So these people that I'm coming out now, I took arguably a dreadful line there. You see, that in the distance there is the person who came out next to me. She went right and I went left and I had this massive gap to close.
Just so keen to spend more time in the wind today.
Now we're back on the beach. It was time to refuel. I had a plan to do 100 grams of carbs an hour. So over the whole race, it was going to be about 150. That was going to incorporate taking a gel every lap and then having 80 grams of carbs in the bottle. So in the end, I ended up doing 165 grams of carbs. So a little bit over the 100 grams of carbs an hour, but To be honest, I felt great for it. I felt strong and I felt well fueled.
I really like that dramatic pan round on the 360 there to you taking the jump.
I had to keep it, you know,
Everyone's on the
exciting.
edge of their seats.
We're moving on to just highlights for the rest of the race then. Next up is us coming off the beach at the end of the second lap. People were more on it with fighting for this one. Last time it was quite
that
easy.
Was quite close to your wheel.
Yeah, it was good. She pushed her way up. She was in front of me. I think she could ride up this. Whereas I just like fell over instead.
Nice.
Yeah, I cramped really badly there, which I've never really experienced before, but yeah, that was agony for the rest of the race. And then I had a bit of moving back up towards the front to do. Got towards the front, promptly make a really big mistake, which kind of rippled backwards.
Wasn't that big? You stayed on the bike.
I think people behind me didn't stay on the bike, and that was the problem. And then that was the coolest corner I've ever done. We're coming up to my favourite part of the whole race. High five.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it was really, really sweet.
Is this now coming back onto the beach for the third time?
Yeah, the last time back onto the beach, I had a bit of a gap. I caught up to this guy, and then I had a bit of a drink, had a gel, and waited for some people to catch up, and then we all started to work together. Some games did start getting played. I was coming back down the line, and he wanted me to close up, which I was having none of. Same thing happened here. They all wanted me to slot back in. I was willing for us to get dropped at this point. I was just trying to make a point, but thankfully they did actually end up pulling through. We're back off the beach, and basically for the rest of the race, up until the line, for me at least, it was just picking people off, as you've seen, catching a group, moving up through the group and trying to get as far up. I ended up moving up all the way to the line.
Did you ever get overtaken?
No, I didn't. So it kind of shows to me that I could have done a little bit better. It's got me really excited for next year because I want to come back. I know that I can do well.
Especially if you're not on the back foot from the start.
Definitely if I'm not on the back foot from the start.
Okay, onto my race, which started even slower than yours. You can see I'm trying to glue myself to your wheel, but this guy kind of barges through.
Yeah, you got pushed out of the way.
Yeah, which is really annoying actually, because I think he was a difference between me staying with you at the start and not.
And
he
it was
just,
all for nothing.
All for nothing. He got stuck there and I didn't, and I get to progress. If you watch back there are just bodies everywhere.
Yeah, this is crazy.
But now the race finally feels like it's actually starting and I can put some power down.
You're moving through a decent amount of people.
And Josh comes through here and I'm like, oh, get on his wheel, but he accelerates.
Yeah, he
goes
just
too quick.
leaves you for dead, doesn't he?
I'm now like really trying to stay with him.
You got a bit closer.
But there was one point I got really close and then he put in another dig and I was like, no.
This guy's come past and given you a nice little ride.
Yeah, my strategy here was to just find the people that were moving faster than everyone else and just jump on their wheels, which I think I did a really, really good job of. Like I was riding at kind of 90% so that I was ready to put in that full 100 when a faster wheel came past us.
This section was, I don't know why, it was suddenly so slow. It was horrible.
The sand, I think, suddenly got really like soft and wet and deep, and so it just caused absolute carnage. A lot of people were off their bike. I was really glad to maintain momentum.
You seemingly very easily just rode past everyone there.
So this guy was my next wind block. I just had to be really careful to not be hypnotised by his wobbling saddleback and fall asleep.
Yeah, he might be losing some watts there.
It doesn't matter, he seemed to have quite a few of them.
Jesus.
Yeah, so this was where I really nearly came down. If you go back and watch that again, you can see my shadow. My strategy there was to just like power forwards.
Yeah, that was a really good strategy. You did really well to get out there.
I very nearly ended up on the ground.
Is this your next wind block?
So this wind block, absolute hero. If you'd seen just then, I took a risk in losing my last guy and going on the left of those riders, and it was pure luck. But this guy then comes past on the left and I was like, hell yes. And he took me all the way to the end of the beach. He was so strong. Like he clearly, like us, was much further back at the start than he maybe should have been. And he, like you, was just happy to sit in the wind and put the power down.
He's not looked back once.
You can see Glenn on the right there.
Yeah, that
He'd
was
had
rough.
a mechanical. I think someone had ridden into his rear mech.
Yeah, that's right.
But he does make an appearance later on, we will see.
Ooh.
So we've caught on to this group, and there's some women in here that I've like flagged as, you know, maybe this is a good place to be and maybe we'll settle in. This guy will maybe take some recovery. Nope. He just plows onwards and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on this wheel, we're going for it. And he, as I said, just takes us all the way to the end of the beach. You can see that building on the right that signifies the turning off of the beach. I think we have also picked up a few people from that group now. I didn't mean to do this. It kind of looks like I dive bombed him, which is a horrible way to repay his great service. But I just kind of found myself there and we rode it out and it was all good. And now into this first queue. And I am glad here, like you, I've caught up to the back of the next group up.
And I'm guessing you're going to steal some places with a nice cross remount here.
Yeah, of course. And then I get onto a woman's wheel, which is very exciting. I was kind of really picking up on when there was women around me.
Line.
And that also helped me focus and be like, okay, that's someone I'm actually competing against. So make sure I get in front of them. This bit's good.
It's very nice for him to point out one of 1,000 holes.
Which I then rode into anyway.
This guy's back.
Yeah, my hero's back. And I'm like, get me on that wheel.
Yeah, did you manage to catch up to him?
I don't think I did. You'll see now. I am very much focused on him, but he is very strong.
Tandem on the left there, they were amazing. Honor, should we just do the tandems next year?
I would say yeah, but first of all, I want to get an actual gridded race out of my system first and see how I can go with that.
I think that's fair enough.
So we're on the gravel now. I'm not going to lie, I was really quite nervous about riding on the gravel.
You seem to be riding well though. That corner was really good.
Yeah, it was going fine. Turned out I'm fine. But in my head, like, it's a new terrain for me to race on. I'm quite good in the mud and like loose rocks is just new and scary. But yeah, it seemed to be fine. And actually, by the end of this race as well, I felt really comfortable.
We saw your hero once again, but it looks like someone might have stolen his wheel from you.
Yeah, and then lost it.
Yeah.
No, he was really fast. It was a hard wheel to hold.
Is this another tandem?
This, I realised, was going to be another good wheel to hold. I'm like, tandem, hold on, that's two people, double watts.
Twice as fast.
Twice as fast. And so I'm chasing. I'm like, I want them. Wait, I'm like, wait for me.
And you did catch them, to be fair.
I did, but then they did drop me on that climb. But then I was with this woman, which is good because it gives me a target to try and overtake. Pedalled my way down there rather than taking the recovery, and then worked on getting back on that tandem.
I imagine they were quite a good draft being two people.
Yeah, and they had the unexpected advantage of like talking really clearly to each other about upcoming obstacles. And did you see them fishtail?
Yeah, they did really well through there. I guess the person on front is telling the person at the back what's going on, and by proxy telling you.
Yeah, it was really helpful. So I was getting the advantage of the wind block, but also knowing what was coming.
You never have to be slightly on the outside to see, because you know they're going to tell you.
So for these straight sections, like, fully recommend jumping on a tandem. They do keep dropping me though, maybe a little bit too much power. We can see I've moved through the group quite well here, but now I'm starting to see empty space in front of me, which is great because I'm further forward, but bad because I'm actually having to spend time in the wind.
But you're saving energy riding things well.
Yeah, managed to stay high there, which was nice. And then here, I'm catching back onto the tandem.
Do these guys just stay with you the whole time?
We are about to lose them, I think. We're about to see the limitations of a tandem.
Ah, yes, corners.
Straight lines are definitely their strong point, shall we say. And I decided maybe that was a good point to leave them. And sadly, I don't think we see them again.
I do imagine navigating this next bit is probably pretty tricky on a tandem.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard enough on a bicycle.
Well, and on feet, apparently.
Yeah, I tried to be like you here and stay on my bike, but everyone just pushed past on feet, which is fair game, really, but it was really annoying. So then I joined in and also just tried to push past on feet. I think I slow it down here.
A nice chat in the queue.
Yeah, taking a little moment to be social. Back on the bike. Absolutely love this section just because I thought it was really pretty to ride through. Nice fun bit of single track.
I thought a lot of the route was really pretty, actually.
Yeah, definitely. The beach did maybe get a bit boring after 3 kilometres.
It was slightly repetitive.
There was that little berm that you loved.
Mine was cooler though.
Yeah, I know, you keep telling me.
Here we are coming up to the end of lap 1.
Yeah, and at this point I'm like really happy with how it's gone so far. I'm feeling surprisingly good in the legs, like I've got some energy to spend still, but obviously I'm still looking to be smart with it and use wheels where I can. So I'm hoping for a nice group who are going to work together on the beach.
That drum band was so nice.
It was so cool.
Was your plan refueling on the beach, same as me?
Yeah, although I had a much simpler approach approach in just having carb mix in my bottles, so I wasn't eating anything. I never had to get anything out of my pockets. This guy, you saw me jump onto his wheel. I saw another good wind block potential here. Going onto the beach, we're separated. I am surfing my way through.
Yeah, you're riding the sand really nicely.
Yeah, it was all right. You saw that guy did a much nicer job than I did on his mountain bike.
Yeah,
but
you took a better line though.
but we do end up in a group working fairly nicely together. I do take some turns on the front.
And that's not nicely together.
No, this guy kept attacking us. I probably should have just let him go, to be honest. This beach lap wasn't particularly fast. Like, it was a big disorganized group, so none of us were really going that hard.
Wow, you did that without falling off like me.
Yeah, wait till my next lap though. But fared pretty well that time round. I spent this whole next section trying to chase that guy down, going too fast, not being able to corner very well because I'm desperate to catch him. And then here's funny.
Nearly on him.
Yeah. And then he switched sides, and then I realised why he switched sides, because there was the non-competitive riders on the left. Yeah, then we're into the single track in the sand dunes and everything gets a little bit messy.
Yeah, these bits were quite hard to ride.
So she made a mistake in front of me and then it was my turn to make a mistake in front of her.
I think that's only fair.
Yeah, only fair, exactly. And then I'm catching up with women who I like know are fast and like look up to. And so in my head, I'm like, don't panic, like keep it cool, you've got this. There we go. So that's when I started falling off my bike. I did that twice. I think you'll see another one in a second. One of them I only dropped the bike. The other one I did also drop myself. I think here.
Yeah, let's let you drop yourself there. You recovered that quite quickly.
Yeah, I was proud of my crisis management in this race, although should have done a wrong side remount there.
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah, was very keen to be in front of this girl. Thankfully, Glenn here, who we saw in the first lap with the mechanical, made that a lot easier. And now I find a much better group to work with on the beach this lap around because there was only 4 of us. So we were super organised. We really took it in turns. It helped to keep us organised and motivated. And we caught up with the next group. Hello, mate. That's me saying hello to Peggy there, which was a very nice sight to see.
That was cute.
Because I think she's super strong. So I was like, hell yes. And then, and then hell no. And I struggled to dismount my bicycle.
Yeah, it looked like we all did.
So that was the start of me making tactical mistakes in this race. And I made the error of not being at the front of that group coming off the beach, and then had to spend all this single track section, which turned out to be more technical than on the previous laps, not being able to overtake. So as we can see, it got a bit messy. And I think I rode everything quite nicely, as well as I could have done, but it was kind of the end of me moving up, and I finished basically in the position that I'm currently in.
Did you get back past that guy?
I can't remember, but I'm going to say definitely yes, but the GoPro died.
100%. That's the end of the race footage. Back to past us.
What a blast. That was sick. That was a lot of fun. I felt good, actually. My performance goal was to just always be trying to move forwards. And I literally think, like, from the start to the finish, I was moving forwards. And then in terms of like experience, performance aside, that was amazing. That was so much fun. It just feels really good to like ride your bike fast. Like the trails, it was so nice to actually feel flowy on the bike. Like I always surprise myself because when I ride my bike not in a race setting, I overthink things. I'm a bit clumsy, and then when you put me in a race setting, I just something switches, and I always surprise myself, and I'm like, oh, this feels so good. And it did feel really good. And I was gonna say I didn't fall off. I did. I fell off once doing something. I don't even remember. It's all a blur, but some kind of clumsy uphill sandy mess. Just you're like, okay. Apparently I maybe came 7th, which is, I was like top 20 would be sick. So top 10 is sicker. But it does make you wonder if I wasn't like gridded 600th, not gridded, how the race would have gone differently. So we'll have to find out next year. First gravel race, decent. How was your race, Josh?
It was delightful. As soon as we all turned onto the beach, I got on your wheel, and then we were in a little group together. And then it was like, you looked ahead and you just thought, oh, it's like 100 people. And you think, oh.
I think that was more than that. I got onto the beach and I was like, oh, I can get to the front. And I looked up and I was like, oh, there is maybe 600 people in front of us. Like the front was like 300 to 500 meters away from us.
I was trying to judge how far it was, and it was like,
I was like, that we are never reaching that.
Yeah.
My normalized was 318 watts.
Oh, okay.
My average was 300 watts. That's quite high.
What's your FTP?
332.
Oh, fair, yeah, that's quite a lot.
my normalised was 315.
There!
was yours?
380.
Oh, thank you. My average was 270.
Oh god.
In it, that's how I feel.
What was your max heart rate?
Oh, I don't even want to know.
This is
It
the
wasn't
date-
mine.
Mine
didn't go
wasn't
that
very
high.
high.
This is the data we want.
185. Like my
Average?
No, max. My average was 173. It didn't go up that.
Yeah.
high. Kept looking down and being like, is there something wrong
Pretty
with
chill,
me?
yeah.
I have to say, oh, that guy won it.
Winner. Did you enjoy it, Josh?
1 minute power, 544.
It's not all about the numbers, you know. Did you have fun?
I think there are two things that happened here that are really good takeaways.
Yeah.
Doing some training actually really helps.
Yeah.
It gives you confidence in riding well, and fueling seems to work, apparently.
Yeah. Who'd have thought?
Doing the right things at the right time.
Eating is
consistently,
good, yeah.
But consistently eating
Yeah.
and
Being on
like
it.
having a plan works very well. I think from crossing everything, I felt really confident in the bits that I'm normally quite scared in. So
Nice.
It was like, genuinely, I think it was probably the most successful race I've had here,
Yeah.
just because I felt relaxed. I think I could have gone harder in this race though.
Yeah, but it's hard, isn't it? Because you spend a lot of time kind of sat up, and it's like, well, yeah, sure, you could go harder, but it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, there was a point
Yeah.
where I was coming onto the beach for the third lap. I had gotten a gap through all the trails, and I was like, there is no point me pushing on
No,
because there's no one in front of me and there's people kind of behind me.
Where did you come through?
48th.
Where did you come on her?
Was it 7th?
7th woman.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks.
There was a bit when we queued the first lap up the sand dunes.
Yeah.
And a guy was like pushing past us like, what's the point?
Was a point where people started running like around the outside and there were people like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like,
They are racing.
There was a gap there and I took the gap. They were like, what are you doing? And I was like,
There's a gap, I'm taking it.
I'm racing. I'm racing. We're all running up a sand dune in tight lycra, looking like knobs.
How did you lose Theo? Where did you lose him?
I think in the queue.
Oh,
Because
he was
could see
pushing
him,
people
like,
out of the
4
way.
jerseys ahead.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy with a red jersey and I got really confused and I caught that guy and I was like, oh. And then I saw someone wearing your, like it looked like you. 'Cause
Yeah.
the white helmet and the
Yeah.
Tucker jersey.
Yeah.
And then I got there and it was a little man.
I think my race was good. I'm actually quite happy with it. I came 48th, which I think from a 600th place grid is not too bad. I was 8 minutes down on the winner,
That's good, eh?
and I was
Considering how the gaps just stretch out and it's so hard to do anything about it.
and I was 3 minutes down on people that I would like to have beaten, let's say, but they were all gridded
Yeah.
towards the front. So in terms
Yeah.
of like race, pretty good. I'm happy with that. I spent the entire time moving forwards up until like the line, so that was a nice feeling. Felt strong. I felt like I rode stuff really well. I'm really pleased. I think for a first go at it, I think we can both take a lot of confidence from it. We also like it's pretty good fun, you know.
It was so much fun. Obviously, as a woman, you don't actually get that much experience like riding in
Yeah.
big groups of riders. And
Yeah.
so that is actually, as much as, like I said, like it's suboptimal, but it does have its own like fun to it.
Do you know what I was thinking? As a first gravel event or gravel race,
Yeah, this is perfect.
This is perfect.
100%.
You're not like like Dirty Reaver. It's like 200 miles in a forest. You know, like you're never that far away from help. There's like people walking their dogs everywhere, cheering you on, which is really nice. And it's like the vibe has been amazing. Everyone riding is really nice. Lots of people you know.
My favourite part was going onto the beach.
Oh, that was sick.
That was so good.
I like shift into a harder gear a couple times and like
Well, that's like,
send it.
I'll get all this confidence that I have, and then one day I'm going to fuck it, because
Yeah,
Sam
yeah,
kind of
100%.
lends
You'll go over
itself
the
down.
bars.
And then I'll go over the bars,
you'll
and
bring
then I'll
that
be
to the
knocked
right.
down a notch, yeah. But like, I was just sending it, surfing, it was so good, it's so
It's
fun.
pretty cool feeling.
Yeah.
Just full power into the sand and like
It was nice, because also the sandy parts, up like in the single track sections, I did feel really confident just
Yeah.
pedaling through it.
Also, those tyres,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Really, I was like pushing the limits on a lot of corners, and like they were fine.
Yeah.
You know, they were. I never felt like I was under gripped, and like they felt rapid. So maybe a bit wider if I could fit it would be nicer. But like they were sick. I was buzzing with them.
Yeah, I was also very happy. I did just feel like I was floating over everything.
Yeah.
And I think that some credit to those tyres for
100%.
doing so well today.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I finished a little bit above my pay grade today, so I think
you had
must
massive
have been
tyres.
the tyres. Average power 175, normalised 196, max 770, average heart rate 177, maximum 190. So it's actually like not super all out for me. Like second lap through the beach, I was like mostly in zone 2, even like freewheeling at points, but it was just like there's nothing you can do about it. I would go on the front and I would ride a little bit and we'd take it in turns, whatever, but the group was so big that no one was going to be like organised about it. And then the alternative is like, what, I'm going to attack into this headwind and try and like close a kilometre to the next group. Like you can't do anything about it. So you're like, okay, I'm just going to recover. And I don't know, it's a bit of a blessing and a curse really, because you get a bit of time out, but you're like, I could be going harder.
Josh Mayland, dun, 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 drum roll, people. Ooh, 91. Top 100! 45 for H.
I'm 45.
Just finishing the day on the beach, getting some photos of the bikes. A correction to the results, Honor ended up 5th place, senior woman in the end actually.
Yeah.
And I was actually 46th and not 48th. So
Ooh.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, what a great event. I like 100%, this is on our calendar, we're coming back next year. Loved it. Maybe with a grid position ideally. And yeah.
Hopefully I've locked that in for next year.
Well, you've locked that in. I need to.
Yeah, you'll get a grid now, right? That didn't matter anyway. Like it sounds a bit cliche.
It'd be nice to see the front. Like I was like, I could see it.
Yeah.
About half a kilometre.
I couldn't. It was way out of sight.
But it'd be nice to be like, oh.
That's within reach.
If you're a subscriber to the channel already, you'll notice that we have been a little bit quiet on the videos. And first of all, sorry about that. But we had a really busy cross season. As you'll know, if you follow us on Instagram, we're always posting over there.
And a really good cross season.
And a really, really good cross
Probably
season.
should have filmed it.
Yeah, hopefully this is the start of us kind of picking the videos back up a bit for some of the bigger events that we're going to be doing throughout the year. So definitely subscribe to the channel.
Should we do a quick cross season roundup for people who might have missed out?
Absolutely. I DNF'd exactly 50% of the races that I started, and of the ones that I finished, I didn't finish outside the top 4. So
kind of good.
Swings and roundabouts.
Sometimes maybe good.
Honor?
Yeah, like really, really good, successful cross season. Got my power back, or most of it. It was kind of like podiums, got some wins.
Did some of these?
Yeah, did some of those. And I even ended up ranked 4th in the country by some insane quantity of races.
Yeah, no, it's because you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Want to do more of these going forward. Leave some comments and some recommendations. What are your favourite kind of shorter distance gravel events? And then we'll comment, so we'll see you there.
Yeah, this was good, but I don't think I can go for very long. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. See you in the next one.
Where's the other dog? Oh, in my shadow. This is my filming stance. I've been outed. Oh no.